Just our numbers. It's an important thing to know. But a lot of the numbers on that just came out on immigration and on employment were illegal immigrants. Almost all of the numbers were from illegal immigrants. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? The illegal immigration that being taken care of better than the people that have been in the country that are desperate for jobs. But when I'm in the White House, the Biden economic bust will quickly be replaced with the Trump economic boom. We're going to replace it. We'll replace it quickly. When I left office, we handed Crooked Joe the fastest economic recovery. It was the fastest recovery, think of this, economically, ever recorded. The stock market was at a record high. The price of gasoline was $2 and even less than that a gallon. Think of that. We had periods of time where it was $1.57, $1.87. How does that sound to you? But under $2 a gallon, the 30-year mortgage rate was at a record low, the lowest ever recorded, $2. Think of this, 2.65%. That's what your mortgage rates were. Now you can't get a mortgage. If you want to pay 8 or 9%, you still can't get them. And we had no inflation. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in history. This is, everybody said, this isn't me, this is everybody. We had the greatest, we had no inflation. Today, your inflation's so high, it doesn't matter. If you make money, it doesn't matter. It eats you alive. Inflation is what they call a country buster. You go back 200 years, 300 years to countries with inflation, they got busted. Ask Germany, how was inflation many, many years ago destroyed the country? It is a country buster. And we have record horrible inflation. And now it's getting worse. And now they think they're not going to be able to cut interest rates because it's getting worse. You don't hear that, and they don't talk about it. And the fake news, these people right over here, they don't want to talk about it, but it's getting worse. But then Biden came in and unleashed mayhem on our economy, just like he unleashed mayhem on our border. The border, there's never been anything like this, a border like this. There's never been anything in the world. There's never been a border like this in the history of the world. Using COVID as an excuse, Crooked Joe Biden launched the greatest confiscation of middle-class wealth in the history of our country. It's middle-class wealth. He confiscated it. In 3 years, Joe Biden and his party stole trillions of dollars from hardworking Americans and gave it their political, and he gave it all to their cronies in Washington, their heirs-to-be. He gave so much money away, and the Green New Scam, it's the worst scam in the history of our country. They spent $2 trillion, the Green New Scam, the greatest scam in history. They spent $2 trillion on their so-called American Rescue Plan, which wasn't rescuing this country. How is the rescue plan doing? Trillions of dollars wasted, which Obama's economic advisors called the original sin. They actually called it. His advisor said that was the original sin that led to rampant inflation. That's where it began. They spent another $1 trillion on their misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, and then they admitted it really wasn't meant to reduce inflation. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act. Remember when a certain senator said, "I'll approve it," and that was the end of his career? I won't tell you his name was Manchin. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was the end of his career. He was popular. He was getting more and more popular. He started out not so popular for many years. Then he became popular because he was rejecting all of this madness. And then for some reason, he agreed to sign a couple of things that were not good, and it didn't work out too well. $1.2 trillion for their fake infrastructure. He had a package of infrastructure. You take a look at it. It's fake. It's fake, and it's horrible. And then all of that money, again, going over to the Green New Scam. Joe Biden's economic plan is to make China rich and America poor. My economic plan is to make America richer than ever before, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. With your vote, we're going to save our economy, and we're going to bring our country back from hell. We have a country that's in hell. Look at what's going on. Look at the crime. Look at the crime. You know, I lost a tenant. They said, "Sir, you lost a tenant." Big drugstore, big one, in one of my buildings. And I said, what's the problem? This is in New York, but it's happening all over. I don't think it's happening here so much. Maybe it is, actually. In Chicago. Chicago, it's happening. They say, sir, we can't keep product. I say, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? They can't keep product, they told me. I called the manager, nice guy. I said, what happened? He said, we can't keep product. I said, oh, that's good, isn't it? No, that's not bad. They're walking in with bags. They're taking it off the shelves. So now they put bars up and they put glass up, and somebody wants to buy toothpaste, and it takes a half an hour for the guy to come. They open up. They give them. How the hell can you make money doing that? Who ever heard of it? If somebody would have told you that 2 or 3 years ago that that's happening, you would have said that's not possible. We knew about 300-400, usually young people, walking into department stores and just robbing the place, walking out with television sets. We're going to give our great police, they are great, their power back. And they're going to protect us again. And you know, you saw it last night. That's one good thing that really happened. You saw it last night because New York was under siege last night. And these people, first they were intense, and the person that heads up Columbia University was a great school. It's been, badly damaged, I think, reputationally. But the person that heads it up, a woman, she waited so long. She was so weak. She was so afraid. She was so bad. They could have done this with the tents, and it would have gone quickly and no problem. But they did an incredible job. They went into one of the big buildings, a beautiful landmark building. Boy, they got the hell beat out of it last night. You're supposed to take care of those buildings. It took a beating. But the police came in, and in exactly 2 hours, everything was over. It was a beautiful thing to watch. New York's finest. You saw them go up in ladders. You saw them go up in ladders to break in the windows and getting in, and that's dangerous because you don't know what's on the other side of that window. And they went in, they knocked it out, and they were incredible. They did a great job. New York's finest. And, it's like that throughout the country. Chicago, great police. L.A., great police. I know so many of them. I know so many of the top people and the middle people. I see them all over. They're great, and they can do the job. But we have to give them their power back. Where did he come from? All right. Thank you. Go home to mom, right? Go home to your mom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Say hello to mother. Oh, she's going to be angry because she's watching right now on television. She's watching on television. She's saying, that's my son. The Biden inflation. It's interesting when the fake news reports a story. They'll say there was pandemonium. One guy shouts something. I don't even know what the hell he shouted. There was pandemonium. But look, Front Row Joe, he ran back there look at that guy. Front Row Joe. That's good. You ran. When he sees trouble, he runs right into it. Every country needs people like that. Anyway, thank you, Front Row Joe. The Biden inflation disaster is a direct result of Crooked Joe's trillions in wild spending, and that's what's happened. The Biden price hike is a gigantic tax on the likes of which this country, we have never seen anything like it before. In the past 3 years, the average Wisconsin family has lost between $20,000 and $30,000 thanks to Crooked Joe's inflation tax. Think of it. It's an inflation tax. It's a new tax. I just thought of it in the plane coming up here. I never used that expression. I call it Biden inflation tax because if you add what inflation has done to you, that's about a 30% tax increase, and I think even more than that. You could get a pay increase, but your pay increase doesn't nearly overcome what's happened with inflation. So I just came up with the name. I thought it was actually quite brilliant. It's called an inflation tax. We have a new tax, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new tax. It's called an inflation tax, and these price hikes are continuing to drain nearly $1,000 from the typical Wisconsin family every single month. Does that sound like a lot? I think it's a lot. Chicken, I love chicken, is up 24%. Baby food is up 30%. Eggs are up 59%. Gasoline is up 50%, but it's going way higher. Airfares are up 33% without the service that we used to get. And a 30-year mortgage rate just hit 7.6%, one of the highest averages ever. Other than that, we're doing quite well. Do you agree? And the country's going to hell, but then we're doing quite well.